Hey folks, hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Sad day today, the rock and roll. Jesus, crazy. Just thought I'd do a live stream to talk about this insane day we've had with the passing of Eddie Van Halen, 65 years old. You know, when I reached out to a few musicians, as I mentioned in the video, I gotta make sure we can't see the TV here. It's because of copyright. Hold on. There we go. That's better. When we were reaching out, when it was first heard that Eddie was not doing well, the musician that I talked to, I have a Stratocaster. There you go. Our first guest. But I just wanted to get your reactions from some of you who might be watching as far as this. I don't remember the last time I had a death in music. I'm still grieving. He was a legend. I hate to hear this from Chris. So sad. Yeah, it's not like we didn't know he wasn't doing well, but I was just my friend Keith called me up. I was ready to do an interview with this gentleman named Peter Kern, who just wrote a book on 10cc, and I'm doing my research and reading his book, and then I had to tell Peter, I'm going, well, we can't do this right now. Rest in peace, legend. It's sad. I'm in shock. It's sad. Everyone's in shock. Again, we knew he was not doing well, but to die. It's almost as shocking as when Glenn Fry passed away. When everyone went, what? He's dead? That's exactly what I thought. Very hard to believe. It's upsetting. I was 17, came out with Running with the Devil. I was 18. Well, like I said in the video a while ago, I was 18 years old, and that's the first song, right? You're going, and it goes, and I'm going, what is this? Oh my, and I'd not heard something like this before. It had that kind of undercurrent of ominous feeling that Zeppelin would give us, Running with the Devil. It had sort of that, kind of feeling. Thank you for coming on live. I really appreciate it. I was 15. A Fair Warning came out. Yeah, I remember that. Spencer Welsh says, what the F? You know, people give me hell all the time saying, oh, you can swear on YouTube. You can't monetize your videos if you swear. So I have to be careful. Eddie had a gift. Yeah. Strange day, though. You can't help but going, where was I when this happened? We have lost many rock stars this year. Neil Peart, a few musicians. How did he pass? It was cancer. He had, was it cancer of the tongue? And, dude, I was 12. Yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah. To the GOAT. He was. I mean, talk about, when you look at inspiring guitarists, when you look at how many people he had inspired at a time where music was coming out with so many different styles. In the 80s, we had so many things coming at us. We had the big keyboards, the big drum sound, we used to call it the Rubbermaid sound of the big boom, boom drums and keyboards, all those techno bands that was coming out, post-punk bands, disco was going away. There was so many things going on, and yet rock music still lived with people like with Eddie Van Halen and his signature guitar sound. Eddie bridged Zeppa in the 80s rock. Thank you, Michael. Well put. Yeah, because what I got out of, I wasn't a big fan of Robert Plant's solo stuff, but what I got out of Led Zeppelin was sort of what I got when I was listening to Zeppelin. What I got from Van Halen is what I got from Zeppelin, rather. Sorry, I can't read all the comments. They're coming in really, really fast. Greatest guitarist of all time. John, well said. And Steve Lukather, when I was talking to him, I had such great things to say. I was born when the song Jump, okay. Rest in peace, Eddie. Everyone, the biggest thing we've got with what's happening here is just complete shock of people going, what? I just need more information. That can't be. He can't be dead. It's that old thing when you hear someone say, well, I just talked to him yesterday. Yeah, everyone's alive the day before they die. They're just such in shock. They always say something like, yeah, but he was alive. I talked to him. He was on the phone. Yeah, everyone talks on the phone. Most people the day before they die. It's just processing death is a difficult thing for people, especially processing people who are on stage who seem bigger than life. I mean, he lived a life of excess, that's for sure. We'll miss you, Eddie. I'm in complete shock and sadness. Yes. A few people had asked me to come on live and to basically let people talk about Eddie Van Halen. It's insane, the comments that are coming in. Never know when your number comes. Chris, you're right. It's a strange thing, you know. It is a strange. Everyone's had a brush with either death or death of a friend or a relative or loved one in general, or else had a car pass by them really fast and their life flashes before their eyes. Everyone has that kind of feeling of complete shock of trying to process this. Oh, what if I died? And then when with someone else, like tomorrow morning, a lot of people will wake up and they'll go, oh God, it was true, he died. You know, if you've ever had someone close to you die, that you wake up the next morning and you go, was it a nightmare? You know, and Eddie Van Halen was that type of influential person in our lives. I'm old enough to remember listening to the tune, it went away, I couldn't see it. Lost my father in January, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's here in Northern Ireland, just heard the news. Here's the thing, think about I mean, rock stars are like this anyway, but we live in a world now where no matter what happens, we're all kind of joined together in this grief and this disbelief. The biggest one for me was always John Lennon. When I heard that, I couldn't believe that John Lennon was actually dead. I couldn't process it. You know, it was impossible. It was, and that was a bigger loss in the way that he had not, even though he was a Beatle and his solo career was amazing. There was almost like some kind of, that's not fair. And losing Eddie Van Halen, who's given us so much, is a difficult. It's just weird. It's such an incredibly weird feeling. 40 years a fan here. When I was created my own music, I told everything's going. I'm getting so many. I can't even read the comments. Hopefully, this video that doesn't always keep the comments. Hopefully, it will keep the comments after this video rolls, because everyone just needs to talk about it. Everyone needs to process it. And what, you know, as they say, what changes our minds? Information. And when a death happens, like I said, it's so hard to process death that we need information. We need to reach out. We need to talk about it, you know, and everyone's saying the same thing. Talk about rhythm, his rhythm playing. Yeah, talk about his playing in general, God. But I'm not a guitarist, and I understand. I'm a drummer, and for me, Eddie Van Halen, as I said in the tribute, the original tribute, if you haven't seen it, check it out, which we did in the basement when we first found out. My friend Keith, like I said, phoned me. Usually he'll just text me. The first thing Keith said was, oh my God, tell me it's not true. And it's what everyone's saying. Lots of comments coming in. Wow, it's insane. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just going to be, well, you know, someone had said in the other video, I'm thinking out loud, I don't think there'll be a bigger death. Well, I understand that. We don't know. It's like death itself. It's like saying, will I live to the end of the year? No one knows if there'll be a bigger death, because most of he's 65. I'm 60. Yeah, I just turned 60 in February. Hold on. Someone had just texted me about an interview that I was supposed to do. I don't remember. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. It was going to be really good. I'm just bewildered. Just before it happened, I just had a cold brew coffee, and I was just spinning. And the thing about an obituary is you've got to get it up. You've got to make sure that people see it. You don't want to be too late with it. You want to be accurate, but at the same time, you've got to get it up. I mean, it's a race to get it up. You don't want to be the first one, because if you're the first one, you could possibly be the person who makes mistakes when you're making a video. Oh, someone had 5150. Everyone says it that way. I've always said 5150, and all my friends would always give me hell about that. But that's just the way I say it, right? My big Van Halen album with Sammy Hagar was OU812, and that album I had a Speedy Monte Carlo back then, and I would listen to that album over and over again on cassette. Made a huge impact on me, and I ended up going, wow, I didn't realize I'd like Sammy Hagar, Mr. I Can't Drive 55, but I really liked him in Van Halen. But as I mentioned in the tribute, when you get a flamboyant, over the top, a guy who sometimes takes over your interviews. I had a friend in LA who interviewed David Lee Roth, and he felt intimidated by him because David kind of took over the interview. And it was embarrassing for him because he kind of lost control of the interview. And I've never had that happen, but I've had it close with other people. And when you have someone who's that powerful as a singer, as a person on stage, but people go to see Eddie. The glue, it's like Patrick Simmons being the glue between the Tom Johnson stage and the Michael McDonald stage. Patrick Simmons was always there, the Doobie Brothers. Eddie was more than the glue. He was a basic foundation of the band. That's what he was. And his signature guitars and his sound and the way he looked. I mean, even as a guy, you could look up there and go, this guy is like, I mean, he's pretty. You know, he's a rough and tumble rock star, but he was pretty. He was a really good looking guy with amazing talents. And I used to love listening to the early demos back in my bootleg days, listening to what they used to sound like before that. And the Van Halen stuff was quite exciting. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. Equivalent in the world of rock and roll is December 8th, 1980. Thank you, Iris. It's too small. I'm using my iPhone to do this. But it is, to me, a big one like that. That's not as big for me as John Lennon was. John Lennon is the ultimate. But it is a really crazy day of everyone having to process and going back, because everyone does that, right? You go back and you think, when was the first time I heard, you know, for everyone listening, when was the first time you heard Van Halen? You know, how old were you? Hello. Oh, this guy wants to say hi. There you go. There you go. It's not about you, dog, today. It's about Eddie Van Halen, but he's a cockapoo. 3/4 poodle, one Cocker Spaniel, but he looks the opposite. Thank you. I was 13, 14, 17 now. Oh, really? Wow, you're from I love having the younger audience. I'm 60. We're both the same age. For anyone who's in their 60s at this point in time, you've got to be, well, you don't have to be, but I'm watching the clock a little bit. I was 15 years old, 1984, Teddy Bates, James Last, 60. Oh, the comments are just coming in way too. 12, Henry, 12, 55 here. When I started, just as off comment, when I started doing YouTube in 2016, some of my friends were going, don't you think you're too old for that? I'm going, I'm talking to my own people. 13, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. And people go, well, it's YouTube's a young person's business, but I'm talking about the music I grew up with, which is the music that anyone who listens to this channel usually would have grown up with. 13, 48 years old, Simply Legend, Eddie Van Halen. You're 60, Midnight something, it's going back too fast. 15, 42 years old, 15, April, 46, a Snowman, 55, 53 here, 46. So a lot of you, some of you are like children of the 80s, and even though my generation, teen years was the 70s, I love the 80s. But I love the 80s thanks to people like Van Halen, like Eddie Van Halen. What made it palatable were, you know, like I said a while ago, and some of you have just joined us, I got my fix of Zeppelin-ish stuff, even though they weren't really a Zeppelin band. That kind of dark, sort of ominous feel in music from Eddie Van Halen. You know, from that kind of, especially the first bunch of albums from Van Halen. That's what gave me, because I needed that. Led Zeppelin wasn't around anymore after John died. And where would you turn? I mean, were there other bands that you liked back then that kind of gave you that? I mean, some people went to metal. I wasn't a big metal guy, but 55, 78. Okay, what do you want? Come here. Come here. I know. You've got to say, he's dying to come up again. There you go. That's a cute dog. There you go. It's not about you, dog. It's about Eddie Van Halen today. Yeah. He's going to be a year old this month. Crazy dog. Likes to eat the floorboards. I'm 38. Some of you with long usernames, Scarlett O'Hara, so sweet. Some of you with long usernames, I can't see it because I'm basically talking, 16 years old, Lillian. Yeah, so a lot of you were around that age. I kind of like hearing when people rediscover older bands. When I was talking to Peter Kearns, the gentleman I talked about, he just wrote a great book on 10cc. Look up Peter Kearns, 10cc. We'll have the interview up in the next few days. Any of you who are new to this channel, we are interview heavy. Most of our videos are interviews. Almost, when people say, your channel's turning into an obituary channel, it certainly isn't if you check out our videos, because most of our videos are all talking about rock and roll stars that all of you have grown up with. That's what this channel is. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. But anyway, I was talking to Peter, and we were talking about the same thing. It's going, anyone who has missed out, especially today on any Van Halen albums, that for whatever reason you were going through divorce or you didn't have time or whatever. We all have reasons for having gaps in our musical knowledge. Danica, can you let the dog out? My autistic wonder daughter. She doesn't speak much, but she's the keeper of the door over there. Anyway, it's a good time to go back and listen to this music. You don't have, even if you're 10 years old right now, and if you live till you're 110, I say this all the time, you don't have enough years left. Even if you live another 100 years to go back and catch all the rock and roll goodness that you have missed. So whenever people bitch about music, I say this in every live video, but it's important too. So it's a great day or year or month or week to go back and listen to Van Halen, the stuff, and re-listen to stuff that you haven't heard in a little while. As Peter was saying when he wrote this 10cc book, he was saying he went back and hadn't heard some of this music for a long, long time. Fresh ears, listening to it again, getting a different perspective of what he has missed, through this stuff. Dreams, JCM, Dreams? What a musician, such a loss. 27 in Chicago. Oh, that would take it. That's when you first heard Van Halen. Neil Schon, Van Halen, Steve Lukather, Tom Scholz. Yeah, we had, I was talking to Jim Mestia, by the way, the original drummer for Boston. We're still trying to get him on the show. He played a little concert for my son and I. He played Hitchin' a Ride on drums, even though the final Boston album was not with him on it. He played Rock and Roll Band on the original album. Originally, though, before Sib came in, he had played all the songs, and he came back for Third Stage. Yeah. Anyway, he's creating a bed and breakfast. But anyway, we're going to try to get, since you mentioned Tom Scholz, Jim Mestia on the channel and to talk about stuff. I'm bombarded with a lot of stuff. AC/DC, Platinum Blonde, wow. Excuse me, absolutely destroyed. I can completely understand. No one expects someone like Eddie Van Halen to pass away. It's just not it's like it's something you don't expect because he's just such a huge figure. There is something about rock stars where you just think they're going to last forever or they don't age, which Eddie certainly had. There's that really bad picture, which I've never used on any of our videos, of Eddie looking like he was like 105 years old. And I'm not sure if it was doctored. I don't like when people do videos of, look how much they've changed in the last 50 years. Everyone freaking ages. Like, that's not fair, especially with like people like Bridget Bardot and stuff like that. So when they did that with Eddie Van Halen, I really felt kind of like, leave him alone. Do you have to do that to get a few hits? Is it necessary to do that kind of stuff? Obviously, he's lived a life of excess, and, that's the way it goes. I mean, you try to recover from that. Everyone makes really stupid mistakes. And think about another thing, Peter Kearns and I, we did get this interview. It's going to be great in the next few days. The guy who wrote a book on 10cc, wrote a book on Elton John last year, and a book on Joni Mitchell coming up in November. But we always talk about the fact, and I talk about this with a lot of people I interview, that, these people are millionaires and they're 20. People like to pick on Don Henley, and I don't know what really happened with Don Henley and the Eagles, but I mean, they were young. A lot of these people were really young. Rest in peace, Eddie. Yeah, what a day. We'll go back and it's like a John Lennon moment. Everyone remembers watching that football game. I don't even watch football, but the game was on in the background. I'm not a football fan. And was it Howard Cosell? Who was it I forget, that said that John Lennon was dead? And everyone remembers that moment in time. And just like today, like all of you will remember exactly where you were when you heard that Eddie Van Halen died. Like this is history here for us. For the rest of your life, you're going to remember what you were doing when you heard or someone told you that Eddie Van Halen died. He wasn't a god, but if he meant an awful lot to you, people, I always get comments on our videos of going, oh, he was just a guy, we all die. That's nice. That's nice. You must be a lot of fun to live with, like the get over mentality. It's difficult for people. There's a reason why, I don't know, where's this video here? Just give me a second. Let me just check this video. I mean, there's a reason why when someone dies, look, in an hour and 42 minutes, we got 44,000 hits on that original video. Is it because I did anything brilliant in that video? No, it's because people are reaching out because they care about Eddie Van Halen and whatever he did for a living, which we all know, touched people and changed people's lives a little bit, or at least a trajectory of their lives just a little bit, made their day better. Or, you could have had a bad day with your boss. And I mean, I'm obviously farting out of my brain right now, but then, Running with the Devil comes on, or Jump, when he did the keyboard stuff, and when Eddie started using that kind of, it was kind of cool. Some people didn't like it, but man, it was successful, huh? Talk about a string of, when he had the Hagar albums, they were all number one after the other, Crazy. When you think they've lost their lead singer, they're dead. The guy's gone. It's like Peter Cetera in Chicago. They've lost that guy. They're never going to make it. They were able to maintain their careers, but Chicago had a lot of singers. Van Halen, for the most part, he was the main. David Lee Roth was the main guy. Love you, Eddie. Love you forever. Thank you, Dwayne. I was 11. Crazy day. Elton John magazine. Was that Elton John magazine? There's so many different, very interesting YouTube channels that I've never had a chance to. We're always busy here. We get up in the morning, we start editing videos. We're working on, I don't know how many series of people that were just insane amount of interviews that we got lined up. We've got, hopefully it comes through, John J.R. Robinson coming up, one of the most used drummers in the history of rock and roll, coming up on Friday. And Albert Bouchard from Blue Oyster Cult on Thursday. We just talked to his brother Joe a little while ago. But I ask all these rockers who are older than me, most of the rockers I talked to at least got 10 years on me, are you watching the clock? Something we just touched on a little while ago, if you're still listening. And they all say, for the most part, almost all of them say, yeah, I'm watching the clock. Does it bother you when older rock stars are dying all around you? They say, yeah, because it means that I could be next. Someone could have a heart attack and bang, you're dead. I'm overstating the obvious, but it's the kind of stuff we're thinking about today. It's all the kind of like looking back at our youth. And that's what it makes us think about okay, you want to say hi again? Look at the dog. I don't know if you can see, I've got so much hair on me from the dog coming. Okay, come on. There you go. Look at Mr. Shedder. Yeah, he's a cockapoo. He's very dangly. There, that's it. Attention-seeking guy. How did he die? As far as we know, it was cancer. Wolfgang released a statement and said that he had succumbed to his cancer. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but his son had wrote this very, very nice thing. Check it out on Rolling Stone magazine. We don't transcribe our interviews, our videos anymore. We used to write all these long things, but it takes way too long to do, and we needed to get the video up. But I'd say look up Ultimate Classic Rock. Look, that's one of my favorite sites. They even share some of my videos sometimes, which is really classy of them. They have a good story, pretty much paraphrase what's going on. And the first thing on there is throat cancer. That's right. Thank you. The first thing on there is the quote from Wolfgang and losing his dad. He called him Pop, which is what I used to call my dad. Yeah, I think he had cancer. He did, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, when your number's up, your number's up. But anyway, as far as we know, Wolfgang says he passed away this morning. I lost my brother, I think, at 36. He was my older brother quite a few years ago, and he died in the morning. And I remember thinking, oh, people don't die in the morning, which is a ridiculous thing. But I remember going, oh, I never really thought about it, someone dying in the morning. For whatever reason, it never entered my mind. Of course it happens. When you think about it, you realize that. But the first thing I thought when Wolfgang had said he had passed away this morning was my brother, because we've all lost family members. Somebody just said something about Steve Lukather, but I missed it. Steve was a good friend. DM, thanks for the donation. Steve was... Oh my God. My dog just ran over my... My dog just... Look, he's scared. He just ran over the cord. Oh my God, it scared him half to death. Did you see that? It scared him half to death. Little bugger. Anyway, yeah, you saw that? Oh, hold on, I've got to get the cord because I've got no power. Crazy dog. Jeez. God, that was nuts. He ran over this cord and almost killed himself. There you go. Your dad died in the morning? Yeah. He was a heavy smoker. Yeah. Yeah, he was a heavy smoker. You know, my wife quit quit smoking. Yeah, my wife drinking. She drinks a bottle of wine, lasts her a month and a half. But she was a smoker, and she quit smoking, and then later on she got an autoimmune disease, and she realized she would have had to quit smoking anyway. So that's kind of, you know, everyone has their vices. Everyone has vices where you go, oh, it won't hurt me. I think I stay away from that. And a lot of people quit those vices when a doctor says you're going to die. And that's an unfortunate thing, but it's human nature. And you know, people go around saying, oh, how could you do that? You're so stupid. No one knows what anyone's going through. It's tough going through. You know, life can be really difficult sometimes. And if you're racing an awful lot, especially with rock stars, I used to do an evening show in radio where I was live. I do one now, but it's not live in Vancouver. But I used to do an evening show. I'd get off at midnight, and then I couldn't go to sleep till 4 a.m. I was so wound up that I couldn't sleep till 4 a.m. And I thought of rock stars. I'm like, can you imagine being a rock star? Being on stage? What are you going to do to medicate yourself or to bring yourself down to go to bed? You know, I talked to Steve Hackett a little while ago, the original, well, not the original guitarist for Genesis, but the guy from the golden years in Genesis. And I interviewed him, and it was like 9 o'clock or 6, I don't know what it was, I forget. Really early in the morning when I interviewed him, his time. And I said, how do you do that? You're ruining your image of a rock and roll star. He says, oh God, I can't do that anymore. I'd be dead now. You know, so I don't know what kind of lifestyle. I've got to go plug this in. See the cords? Because I don't have a lot of power left on my, and I don't know where the dog, oh God. Okay, I don't know where the dog put his thing. Will this work if I put it in my iPhone? My MacBook? Will it? Maybe. I don't know if it will. But the thing went running, the end cord. Cancer stinks, yeah. We still have Jimmy Page around. We do. And I'd like to say I'd like to have Jimmy Page do music. The thing about Jimmy is I'm not sure if he's going to release any more music, but it's still nice knowing he's around. And it was nice knowing that Eddie was still around because it kind of, okay, that's not going to work. Danica, do you know where that little thing went? I've got to plug this thing in. Can you get Mom's charger over there? Oh, sorry, she's autistic. She doesn't understand. Just give me a second, guys. I need this N cord. See this? I need this. Danica, it's okay. You sit down. It's okay, babe. I can't believe this is happening while I'm doing a live stream. I'm losing my power. But the dog ran into this and the whole thing went flying. So I have to put this over here beside my Mac. But anyway, hold on a second. There. Plugged in. Stressful. Okay, Danica, you can have this. This is my little autistic wonder. Say hi. Hi, Danica.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch she watches, she's 22 years old, and because she has autism, she likes watching Barney videos. Here you go. You use that. Oh, let me do it for you. I'm sorry, guys, there's so many distractions. I don't usually do a live stream when when I'm babysitting my daughter, but she's not in her day program right now because of COVID. Hi, Danica, thanks, DM. And that's how she spells Danica, too. You guys are spelling Danica the right way. See, someone saying Danica with a K, everyone spells it that way. When Lemmy died. Yeah. Danica, can you let the dog in, please? Thanks, sorry. It's a busy household, and it's just me and Danica here. Rest in peace, brother, yeah. Oh, thank you for saying hi to Danica. Anyway, yeah. So some of these comments I'm going, yeah, I'm not gonna read that out loud. God bless you and caring for your daughter. We moved to Calgary, Alberta. I'm a broadcaster from Vancouver, for anyone who knows my channel. I've been a broadcaster for 37 years. One day my wife comes up to me and I'm working at the #1 station in Vancouver, QMFM. Anybody look it up, I'm on their page. And my wife comes up to me and she says, we're moving to Calgary. And I'm going, why Calgary? I lived in Edmonton for 10 years. I'm conditioned to hate Calgary. And she says, well, let's live in neutral ground. It took me 8 years to get used to living in Calgary. 8 years. And finally, we love it here. And anyway, we moved here for autism. So, hi, Danica. Thank you, Robbie. Cool, fellow BCer, Colleen. Yeah, we're going back to BC after this. YouTube's starting to be quite fruitful for us. I'm not making huge amounts of money, but it's a full-time wage, and I still have my Vancouver gig. Getting back to Eddie Van Halen, thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Let me just take this off my, not now. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. A sad day in rock and roll, and again, I have to say it over and over again. Excuse me, it's a day that we're always going to remember forever. We're going to remember the day we found out, the time, the person who told us, how we found out that Eddie Van Halen had passed away. He is that big. And anyone who says he isn't, well, look at the numbers. Look how much people he influenced. Look how the outpouring, like I said, even the announcement that we made for Eddie Van Halen, within an hour, we had like 20,000 hits. Now it's at 51,600. This is not about anything brilliant I did on this. Like I said a while ago, it's basically about Eddie, how people are just in shock and needing to talk about, when they first heard You Really Got Me, the Kinks cover, it sounded so different. It was the same song, yeah, but Eddie's guitar just completely reinvented that and expanded it and made it bold and ugly and beautiful and all the things that you should do with a cover, but not everyone does. And then Running with the Devil. How many times has that song come up, especially on this feed, of people talking about how that made a difference in their lives, right? I'm not shocked because he had, lost it. With so many people on here, it's just going, feels like when Richard, you're right. It feels like when Glenn Fry passed away for me. It's kind of akin to that. It's a similar feeling where I went, what? And David Bowie. I was not a Bowie fan. I saw him in concert. He was amazing. But when Bowie died, I remember and George Michael's another one. I know people watch this channel might not be the biggest George Michael fans, but he's a brilliant musician. And it was on Christmas Day, and we were cooking Christmas dinner, and we were having our friend Troy over, who lives 2 blocks away, for supper, and they all went, go do it, go. And my wife was a huge George Michael fan. A lot of you have seen Shannon. She's been on this channel before. She was just shocked. She could barely eat. And then she realized she had to disconnect and say, well, okay, I love George Michael. I'm really, really sad. But I was never going to meet him. I'll always be able to listen to his music. And she compartmentalized really quickly with that and changed her paradigm. But a lot of people can't do that. You know what I mean? And it was like me with John Lennon. I couldn't change that paradigm in a million years. I couldn't say, oh yeah, well, that's okay. Yeah, he's a Beatle. I'll never meet him. You know, I can't do that kind of stuff. And that's why everyone's on here. Dance the Night Away was my first Van Halen song. Wow. Yeah. And as I mentioned in the tribute video, the first video, that Dance the Night Away was, to me, the shape of things to come for Van Halen. That soaring vocal, very rockish pop, a rock pop driving song. And that's what that was. You know, the great drumming from Eddie's brother, and just an overall tight band. No weak links in that band whatsoever. Even though David Lee Roth was sort of a loose cannon, but maybe, well, not maybe, no, it made it, you know, a more of a spectacle having him in the band like that, you know? Someone was asking, how do you get such good lighting? There's a window right in front of me. I'll show you. Now and then I'll interview an older rock star and they'll say, well, I don't want to be on camera, you know, because I'd rather people remember me the way I used to be. And I'd always go stand in front of the window. It's the best lighting you'll ever have. So look at our fall scene outside. Not a big backyard, but all the houses here are the same. They're all variations on a theme. They all kind of look the same. Any guitar, I didn't. Thank you, John. See, it's going by too fast. I can barely. One of the reasons I'm not reading your comments is because they're just coming by way too fast because there's so many people online. I'm trying to beat it solo. Yeah, I didn't mention that in the thing. I just had tunnel vision. But yeah, speaking of Beat It, I'm interviewing John J.R. Robinson, one of my favorite drummers, but Higher Love, that's him drumming for Steve Winwood, and Rock With You, you know, the beginning of Rock With You, everyone knows that little drum fill he does. I'm missing so much of this. Black Cat with Janet. Oh yeah, was that him? I completely forgot that. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of her rockish kind of songs. Eddie Van Halen forever. Yeah, long live Eddie Van Halen. Rock history music. Can you use slow mode chat? What's that? I don't know what that is. Having the chat come up more in slow motion. Is that what you're thinking? Because this is just insane. We used to do Friday Night Lives where my wife Shannon and I would come on and we'd interview people like Steve Lukather, Shem Von Schreck of Toto. We had, oh God, so many people on there. And for whatever reason, I can't think of one name, more than two names. Anyway, we had a lot of people that came on and talked to us. And the comments sometimes would come in so fast that Shannon she couldn't read them. It was just too much. Jeff Coffey, former lead singer of Chicago, was on with us. Ray Williams. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Irene. She's always been Hot for Teacher. Best video ever. But was I the only one when Hot for Teacher came on and then the teacher jumps on the desks and starts doing that little dance that people usually do to AC/DC music, Highway to Hell. I remember going, can they do that? You know, with kids? My first reaction, and I'm not prudish at all, but my first reaction with Hot for Teacher going, boy, they're really pushing the envelope here, but MTV played it. But was I Edmonton's King Knights, pub? What about it? I don't know why did they have those? I'm so careful in saying the word out loud, anything that's racy on this video, because I'll get demonetized. And I don't want to do that, you know, because in order to keep this channel going, we need to have our videos monetized. It's very, very important. So sad. You're right. It's a Rui. Right Now is my favorite music. Yeah, remember they used it. Was it Pepsi or Coke? It's Pepsi, right? When they used the music for Right Now. Kiss is GOAT. Well, I don't know if Kiss is the GOAT, but no one's wrong when it comes to music, right? The days of, I'm sure it still happens, the days of coming up and someone saying, hey, I like ABBA. Well, you're an idiot. Well, no one's, you like what you like. You can't help, you can't, you get rewired with music as you get older sometimes. When you get older, your taste either mature, your ears, taste buds, earbuds, they mature, or else you just go back to listening to the Archies or the early Beatles. Some people like simpler music, and some people just go back to Rocky Street music, Zeppelin. Pound Cake. Yeah, I remember Pound Cake, of course. Yeah, F Cancer. Yeah, I know. Fair Warning is one of the best. Sit Down, Waldo. Deep Purple is the GOAT. Yeah, Deep Purple is, again, if you like something, you like something. No one can ever tell you what to like. Man, life's too short to listen to someone else's idea of what good music is. One of the reasons I stopped there's a channel called Aircom Radio Network, and I used to do reviews on there. And I'm not saying I won't do them again, because reviews do really well on YouTube, and people love to bitch about people who do reviews. His death makes 2020. I miss that. Pound Cake is what got you hooked. Yeah, that era. That was good. My biggest era is OU812 with Sammy Hagar. I listened to the other stuff, and I was syndicating a rock show after that. I was in AC Radio syndicating a rock show called the Cross Canada Report. Fake videos on his funeral already. What? Really? Yeah, Steve Lukather is probably really sad. I would think he is. But all his friends, I think, kind of knew that, the end was near. And I'm glad no one was reporting it. It's like the Tom Petty thing. Remember, he was in a coma or something, or he was not dead. And his daughter got mad at Rolling Stone magazine saying, why did you publish this? And everyone took their videos down, including us. I made a few calls to a few friends that I had. And I asked, is he dead? And one guy told me, yeah, he's dead. I'm going, why don't they announce he's dead? And then they announced it, I think, the day after or something. Sometimes that happens. I'm glad this didn't happen in this case. There's no, it's not like Tom Petty. I was just watching the special on how it happened on, I think, HLN. There's a crime show, a series, and they have one on Tom Petty's death, which again was a huge shock because Tom had just come off this huge 40th anniversary tour, and they were showing he was limping on the way off, and he was on painkillers, and who knows what's going on in a person's life. Like with Eddie, what the quality of his life was in the last few years, no one knows, and it's difficult to even comprehend what he had to go through, because cancer, as everyone says, sucks, right? So we're going to wrap things up. I think we've been on for, by the way, thank you for the folks who made donations. I appreciate that. We've been on for 43 minutes. He was my mentor. Yeah, he was, even for people who weren't guitarists, like I said, I'm a drummer. And I liked Alex a lot. But to me, I listened to Led Zeppelin. See, Freudian slip. See, I said Led Zeppelin. But they gave me a Led Zeppelin hook of that kind of dark sort of. But I listened to Van Halen because of Eddie Van Halen. I was a fan because of him, and I think that's what a lot of people have been saying concerning his death. Black Cat I missed that. That wasn't him. See, there you go. That's why people think, oh, John, you're just coming up with all this stuff for rock and roll. I double check everything. You have to journalistically, you have to. You can't rely on your memory if you're going to be a music journalist on YouTube or anywhere. You can't. You're irresponsible if you do that. Relying on memory, the one thing that's going away with every passing day, you're going to rely on that. and I've seen videos from people who do this kind of stuff, and I'm going, yeah, do your research. And even for me, I'll get things wrong now and then. Someone just said something about John Bonham. We're all getting older, yeah. And like I said a while ago, I hate when these Mojo kind of, or whatever those YouTube channels are that say, oh, I'm not saying it's Mojo. It's one of those kind of, they'll go, oh, this is what they look like then and what they look like now. I'm going, come on, everyone ages. It's like that bad picture of Eddie Van Halen that I mentioned a while ago where he looks like he's 110 years old and obviously was not doing well or going through something or doctored. Everyone knows that photo of Eddie. It's a terrible photo and we've never used that. It's just, I don't know why anybody would. But people get old. What did you say? You tweeted Steve Lukather? 40 years coming up for John Lennon, yeah. Yeah. Wasn't it a Monday night with John? Wasn't that Monday Night Football? Yeah. Again, memory, right? Memory is the weird thing as you report on rock and roll. Another thing I should point out before we leave is I've interviewed a lot of people. The Jethro Tull thing, Ian Anderson, I've talked to Ian, I think 3-4 times, and another one coming up pretty soon, possibly next week. And Ian was talking about, some of you have probably seen this video where Ian talks about being invited to see Elvis, and he says it was early 70s. And Elvis was really large, and the person says, Elvis will see you now. And Ian Anderson kept saying, I don't want to go see Elvis backstage. I'm not interested. No, Elvis will see you now. And Ian Anderson says, no, he will not see us. I'm not interested in going. And great story for me, and I appreciated him. I love Ian Anderson. He's a great interview. Very, he's a smart dude. But Ian Anderson got his dates wrong because he said it was Fat Elvis, and Fat Elvis did not exist in the early 70s. Fat Elvis was the mid-70s to, 76, 77. But he got the dates wrong. And once I did a thing on Phil Collins, and some guy, I mentioned him a lot. It was the first time it ever happened. Some guy said, whoa, what are you talking about? That didn't happen. And I'm going, oh, I relied on Phil Collins' memory from a story that I didn't write. And Phil got the dates wrong. And the person who wrote the story didn't check the dates and didn't say, oh, Phil says this, but it was actually, And sometimes you have to do that. So, damn, that sucks. Very sad day. Rest in peace, Eddie. It was in his tongue, as far as it could have spread, right? I don't know if the cancer of the tongue will spread. Excuse me, he blamed it on his metal picks, which, as I said in the report, made some people roll their eyes because he was a longtime smoker and John Lennon. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Throat. Yeah. Throat cancer. Yeah. Thank you. That's what it was. Appreciate that. Yes, he was a chain smoker. When you do things like that, there's repercussions to it, right? That's the thing. The cancer spread to his brain. You know that for sure? As a dentist? Well, then in that case, I've had people, I think a lot of us probably know someone who's had cancer and it spread to their brain. That's not a pretty thing. In the last months, weeks, it's just, they're not there anymore. So, but I'm not going to speculate on that because I don't know, but rest in peace. From Japan. Thank you for joining us from Japan. He blamed it metal pick and now it's gone. See, we have so many people on with us right now that the comments are just flying by. But anyway, I'm going to wrap things up unless something. And by the way, thank you for anyone who donated tonight. I didn't ask for anybody to do that, but we just bought an NAS system. Anyone knows it's a network system. Because before we never had all our interviews in one place, because I have so many interviews going back to the 70s. Because I've been in radio for 37 years. And the bulk of our interviews have not even come on this channel yet. And as you look at our channel, if you're not familiar with us, we are an intensive, heavy interviews channel for rock and roll history. We've interviewed a lot of people, and there's a lot more to come. For this channel, Rock History Book, our sister channel, which is longer, like top 10s, and Rock History Canada, for all the Canadian artists that are the bulk of our American and European fans might not know about. We thought, let's just have a Canadian channel. So we bought an NAS system, which is a network system, and all our donations money went to that, to be able to buy this system, which had multiple hard drives, so we can have all our interviews in one place, and finally being able to chop our interviews. My 16-year-old son is doing that. We've hired a writer now to do some of our stories. I still do the bulk of the writing, but so for people who have donated, thank you today. It wasn't asked for today, but I appreciate it. People smoke tobacco and are in denial that cancer came from it. Yeah. Yeah. But we're all frail and we all make mistakes, and when I erase comments when someone dies and they say, oh, the blankety blank, I don't care, or who cares? I'm going, that's just, you don't say that on the day someone dies. You just, too soon. And it's not that you can't say anything ill about the dead, but maybe not on the day they passed away, Someone had once said, oh, you're smiling when you talk about this person who just died. Well, notice I change my mood when I talk about the greatness that the good things they have done in their lives. And that's when I smile. I'm going, hey, in 1976, and that's kind of, and listen, I'm not the best broadcaster in the world, but that's what I do for a living. I know what I'm doing. It's like I'm not going to come up to a plumber and say, hey, what are you doing there? I've got some ideas. I have a brother-in-law who once came up to Matt Cook. Remember Matt Cook of the Vancouver Canucks and Pittsburgh Penguins? And he didn't mean any harm, but he was trying to tell him how to play hockey. And I'm going, okay, I know Matt has a bad reputation. I've not known Matt for a long time, but I've met him a few times and I've had a chance to talk to him because my wife's cousin's married to him. But I'm not going to come up to Matt Cook and tell him how to play hockey. I mean, God, I played hockey for 10 years, but, he's the guy who does that. Okay, so hug your daughter from, yeah, thank you. Everyone makes mistakes. It's a big mistake to make. Don't get me wrong. And I understand everyone saying that. It's like, it's hard to quit a bad habit. I smoked for a year with my wife because we'd have a beer. Well, she adds wine. And we go outside and I went, well, I'm going to smoke with her. And I was 50, I think 50, when I'm 60 now. And I smoked for a year and she quit smoking. And I quit smoking too. And I'm glad I quit. But for anyone who smokes and has a hard time quitting smoking, I can understand their pain. My God, I'm from a long line of alcoholics. I mean, in our family, that's always been a problem. And I can understand that. As when I turned 50, I had problems with my weight. I'm thin now, but I all of a sudden had less judgment for someone who had problems with their weight. I'm going, how dare I? I'm not walking in their shoes, and I don't know what's going on with Eddie Van Halen, but for whatever reason, he smoked. I wish he wouldn't have smoked, but, he was given a life. He can do what he wants with it. Dweezil Zappa will make a great tribute concert. Watching Danica. Yeah, well, Danica, with our daughter Danica, she's watching Barney videos right now. Danica, say hi. Danica, say hi. Hi. Look at the dogs right beside her. They're always protecting her. They're always right beside her. And when Danica has seizures, I know this is about Eddie Van Halen, but I'll say when Danica has seizures, the Havanese dog that we have is very protective of her. And the second she starts convulsing, he always lets us know because we don't want her to fall down and hit her head and die or anything. So, and that's the reason we moved here to Calgary, because of funding for autism. I don't know how any of our American friends without, hi, I'm talking about you? I know. I don't know how they make it without, because even her medication is astronomical. I have a medical plan from a radio station from Bell Media, and Shannon, my wife, has a medical plan, and I don't know how. Or you mean I'm autistic? You said I'm autism, but of course, that's okay. But I think that's what you meant, right? Hi, Danica. Yeah. I'm autistic as well. Wow. Your daughter is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Someone had mentioned once, and I got really mad at them. They go, "Why do you always have to point out that she's autistic?" Because she's always humming. If everyone watched my Jim Messina interview, someone once said, and I mentioned this a few times, "Who's the dog in the background?" No, they didn't mean any harm by saying that because they didn't know my daughter was. She stims and she makes that noise. And we were at the table over there, and I, for whatever reason, had never done an interview with her in the same room. She's in the same room now, but she's very quiet. She had gotten off the bus, the handy bus, and she was revving. And then I had to do this interview with Jim Messina of Loggins and Messina and Buffalo Springfield. And the person said, "Well, why can't you shut your dog up?" And again, they didn't mean any harm by it. There's no way they would know that was my daughter. But so there was one woman who saying, "You don't have to continually tell us that she's autistic." I'm going, "Yeah, I do." Because most of the time she's making a lot of noise in the background. That's just what she does. But I've got to tell you what that is. Because when someone said, "What's that dog?" I'm going, again, it just makes more sense if I admit it. I didn't want to tell that person, "Oh, by the way, that's my daughter." And I did. I said, "I know you didn't mean anything by it, but just so you know." And the person was very apologetic. I'm going, no. I'm not telling you that because I wanted to make you feel bad. There's no way you would know. So that's why. Anyway. Eddie Van Halen. We're going to wrap things up because it's been almost an hour. Yeah, 56 minutes. A sad day. I don't come on here enough to talk to everyone. But on situations like this, it's very hard because we've got so many comments coming in. Greetings from Northern Ireland. Hi. So sad. I know, Cheryl. Thanks, John Beaudin from R. Carlos. It's like R. Carlos Nakai. You know R. Carlos Nakai, the flautist who plays with Peter Cater. I used to be involved in New Age music, and I interviewed a lot of New Age artists, a lot. And I'm thinking of starting another channel with all my old interviews with all the Windham Hill people, and the Narada people, and some ECM artists. Oh, the amount of interviews that I have in the vaults is insane. Running with the Devil. I'm 62 now. I'm 60. I'm right behind you. Stay healthy. This is the age, Eddie Van Halen being 65. I'm not sure if he was still smoking, but there's that thing. I mean, before I go, let me just say this. If you know you have cancer and the thing that gave you cancer possibly you're still doing, knowing you might have a year left, would you continue smoking? Would the people around you want you to quit? I mean, don't jump too fast to this one. People say, "Oh, I don't smoke." And then I get in an argument with people that go, "Well, if I knew I had 6 months to live, how about this one? I knew I had 6 months to live and I had this kind of cancer," which is not attributed to smoking. I'd probably start smoking again because I love to smoke. I love smoking. I smoked for a year. I love smoking. Oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. I did. I'm not going to pretend I didn't like it. I'm glad I quit. Would you quit? Would you start that device again? If you were a drinker, would you start drinking again? That'd be a dumb idea, but see, that's the thing. Eddie's jamming with, Randy Rhoads. I've got to show you this poster. Let me show you this poster. My friend Sudiel, who's a broadcaster. Who's a broadcaster in Calgary here. She gave me this poster. Let me just show you. It has, speaking of Randy Rhoads, look, they're jamming. It is John Bonham and Keith Moon, Jim Croce, Janis Joplin, John Lennon, Mama Cass, Keith Moon, Elvis is there, Jimi Hendrix, John Belushi. Not sure why they put John Belushi there, but I mean, he was a musician, kind of. Buddy Holly. Yeah, Dwayne Allman. There you go. Anyone ever see that before? Yeah, that's, I love that poster. And every time I go downstairs to record a video or something, I'm always reminded by, the greatness of people that, let me move this. There you go. Always reminds me of the great people that, came before me, and smoking kills. Yeah, it does. Love that poster. Yeah, it's faded. I don't know where Sue had it. Randy Rhoads is there. Yeah. Virtuoso extraordinaire. Yes, well said. I'm always telling people to start YouTube videos because now and then I'll get comments from folks on this channel and they'll be so eloquent and well written that I always say, hey man, you got to be a writer. You should be a writer. I used to get paid for writing at a few magazines in Vancouver, and I'm an average writer at best, but I got paid for it, so it made me professional. But some of the comments we get on our channel are amazing, and they will be again when people are, going back and remembering Eddie Van Halen, that concert. I went to see that concert. I remember how I felt. Everything has a feeling to it. If you look back at the first day of school in grade 10 or whatever the first year is for high school for you, or even listening to Van Halen for the first time, there's a feeling that came with that. And if you really got the memory for it, you'll go right back to that feeling. You'll get that feeling. And that's why everyone's talking right now. Everyone's talking about Eddie Van Halen because they remember that feeling in grade 8 or grade 12 or whatever it was, or the first time you heard Jump and you turned around and stared at the speaker and go, what? You first heard that, you go, what is that? Because I'd never heard anything like that before, not played in that way. And then the drums come in and it was amazing. The first time I heard Running with the Devil, I remember listening to it on the US radio. I was living in New Brunswick at the time. And I remember that feeling. You remember the feeling of how you felt when you first heard that. You go, oh yeah, I'm right back in that body again. That's why people are responding here. They remember that feeling. They know what it felt like. They remember how, music plugs you in. Music, I'm overstating the obvious here over and over again, but my ex copied Ed's, I missed that. I wanted to read that. They're coming in so fast. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. Thank you, Crazy Ginger Jake, is it? 1 foot out the door. Yeah, I'm 23. Although I'm younger than most people here, I'm honored. It went too fast. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who plugged in today. I'm always told you should come on live for people to basically talk about their feelings. The problem is sometimes, now when this video is over in a few minutes when we end, when I stop it, those comments will either all be there or they'll be gone. And if anybody knows what I should be doing for whatever reason, sometimes I'm always doing the same thing. But sometimes the comments are there at the end and sometimes they're gone forever. Did someone say MTV is playing like now? Wolfgang, Alex, Valerie. We're all at his bedside. That went by too fast. Someone had said TMZ is saying that Wolfgang and Valerie were at his side, as far as I know, because it went by way too fast. So you might want to check TMZ for that information. I'm not going to be reporting any more on this unless I go live on again. A few of you have suggested, why don't we just have a big party on Zoom on Friday nights? Well, I'm not going to be drinking. I don't think that's something I really want to do. I do have a drink on Friday and Saturday nights, but I don't know if I'd mix it in with talking to people. And a lot of people thought, why don't you do super chat things with just like 25 people and charge? And I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it because the channel could always use the money because we bought this new network system, but I just always feel kind of weird about like doing that and creating a Patreon, and I don't know. I'm not quite there yet. So comments, yes, classic MTV playing all Van Halen videos. Oh, well, that might be something that'd be good to watch. I know you can go on YouTube and watch most of them, but there's something about watching it on television that's the way we originally watched these videos, right? I mean, when MTV came on, I know a lot of artists rolled their eyes to it. Elton John hated making videos. I love videos. I had long hair back then, like really long hair. And I walked, and I back then I wasn't even drumming. I'd quit drumming at that point, but I still imagined being a rock. Didn't you do that when you were watching the videos? You know, beyond playing air guitar, before videos came, God knows I played air guitar in my bedroom an awful lot. Okay, Danica, we're done. Can you give Daddy the phone? She's only supposed to get 8 minutes of the phone. But anyway, thank you. Thank you. I know. More at 6, right? Yeah. That's, there's a video, there's a thing. Oh, I don't know if I can find it for you guys, of my wall in New Brunswick. I don't think I can find it. Oh no. It's too bad because it's basically my wall in New Brunswick. I painted my wall in New Brunswick where I was growing up with all the signs of all the bands. And by the time Van Halen came out, and in another band I like, Toto, I know, very different bands, I'd finished the wall. I was just painting it at that point. Watching from New Brunswick, the fishing musician. Oh my God, where are you in New Brunswick? I'm in, I was raised in Miramichi, Northeast. Come on, fishing musician, you got to tell me. Oh, Bathurst. Oh, I got to remember that, fishing musician. Are you putting out, by the way, are you putting out new videos all the time? Do you have like videos on your channel? Or have we talked before? Because you sound familiar. Sounds like that SCTV skit, The Fishing Musician. Remember that SCTV skit? Okay, where's the fishing? Yes, all the time. Check out the Fishing Musician's YouTube channel. Okay, I got to write that down. You find I'm 60 now, like I said a while ago, and I find my mind's like a sieve. Enough with music information. Fishing musician, music, video. Check out. Give him a little. Us New Brunswicker fishing on the Miramichi River Friday all week. Hey, you know, I interviewed a fishing musician. I interviewed Ted Williams. I did with a lady named Heather Morrison, who had a big crush on him back then. She's still a friend of mine. I graduated in '79, Miramichi Valley High School, New Brunswick. I know this is off topic. Oh, SCTV was funny, so funny. And we interviewed Ted Williams. He used to, the famous baseball player whose head is frozen someplace. And SCTV with John Candy throwing, oh yeah, that was funny. Anyway, Ted was fishing on the Miramichi River. And we went, I was the cameraman, and Heather interviewed him. And yes, fishing right up the river from there. Oh, cool. Well, when I come to New Brunswick, I'm gonna have to look you up when I come see my mom again. My dad's passed now, but you know. So before, from Ted Williams camp. Oh yeah. Oh, really? You're gonna be at Ted Williams camp? Who owns it now? I'm so off topic, I'm sorry. Blackville. Yeah, I don't remember being in Blackville. I believe you, of course I believe you. I just don't remember because I was 19 and I was ready to move out and go into broadcasting at the time, even though technically I wasn't broadcasting in '79 doing this stuff from the cable TV station. Anyway, I will ask one last question. How many of you felt like it was like a friend who passed away today because of whether you'd met Eddie or not? I didn't feel that, but I just felt the enormity of how big of a loss in rock and roll this was. You know, exactly, yeah, absolutely. There's only one Eddie. Thank you. Well said, Corey, or Gary, is it? I went by too fast. I did cry. Yes, so true. I felt the enormity of how big of a loss this was. When my friend Keith called me up and from Oshkosh, and he said, "Tell me it's not true." And I went, "What? I'm ready to go into another interview right now with a guy who wrote a book on 10cc." And he says, he told me, he says, Eddie Van Halen's dead. I went, what? Like, again, I had to cancel my interview with Peter Kearns. I did it before I did this stream. But I just thought, oh my God, this is one of those days. It's also in Valhalla, yeah. I didn't know what Valhalla was till the Empty Sky song. Was it Empty Sky? Yeah, Elton John. I remember looking it up when I was a kid going, Valhalla? Find your Valhalla. What's that even mean back in the 70s? Eddie was a god. He was. You know, he invented his own thing, added to things that had come before him, in some cases made them better. Some guy wrote, "What the hell is this?" I'm going, I didn't see it. It went by too fast. We do have one rule with this channel. You know, we're doing okay. We're at 63,000, almost 64,000. It's not bad for you. You know, it's good enough to make money. But we have a criteria for erasing comments. And if someone's just saying something that makes them look like a jerk, that comment will be erased. Someone had said on YouTube, "Oh yeah, you erased my comment," and then he goes on to say some more stupid stuff. And then I remember on one of the groups, I think it was a Zeppelin group. Yes, it was a Zeppelin group. And then because of what he had said in the history he had with the Zeppelin group, everyone just ganged on him. And I didn't say anything. I just went, "I'll just let you fry in the sunshine there." Excuse me, sorry. So we have a criteria with this as far as erasing comments. When someone's just saying something to be a jerk, you know, love and prayers from the family. I missed that. Someone said, "It's okay, Danica, we're good." So anyway, I've got to roll because I actually have to make supper for, see, this is the common autistic, say hi, Danica.
Hi.
Yeah, you're beautiful, you
Hi,
know.
both you.
Yeah, and the dogs are always beside her, watching her. Look, that little cutie there. I'm not sure if I'm bending over too much with the camera. But Danica has seizures, so we can't leave her alone. And the dogs are always with her anyway because they follow her around because she's a beauty, thank you. Has Valerie commented yet? Has anybody seen Valerie Bertinelli comment? I'm sure she would have made a comment by now. I have not. I thought of reaching out to a few musicians today, and I thought I'd reach out to you guys instead of going, well, you know, musicians are always going to comment on this, and I know you would have anyway. Love Sammy Hagar. So do I. Really love Sammy Hagar. But hi, Danica. She commented, "Ace, thank you." Sammy Hagar commented, yeah, I'm not surprised because how can you not comment? You have to say something. And anybody who knows this channel knows I have not come on live in quite a long time because I usually don't feel like it. Steve Lukather is devastated, yeah. Steve's a really good guy. I used to, in late nights, sometimes after you get off stage with Ringo Starr, Steve would text me on my phone, sometimes long comments on stuff and sometimes shorter ones. And there's one thing about Steve Lukather, his texts are always entertaining. He's an incredible man, and he has a new album coming out. Not that I need to plug it right now, and so does Joe Williams, the lead singer of Toto. He came back a few years ago. Anyway, thank you, everybody. It was throat cancer. Yes, thank you. Valerie retweeted what Wolfie said. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Danica. So anyway, shocked, just shocked. Yes. Breck Michaels commented. I might do a video on the comments. I don't know. There's a part of me that just goes, I need a beer. It's too early to drink. It's only 5:43. We have a rule in this house, no one drinks before 8:30. If anybody ever drinks, we drink on Fridays and Saturdays. But tonight I think I'll have a drink, a little bit of scotch and whatever you need. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, DM. Yeah, Sammy must be devastated. Well, there's also, you know, what made me a man is going through breakups. My first marriage broke up, and just like a lot of you, women just dumped me. I don't know, I'm such a catch. But I would read breakup books, and I would I'd go to counseling, and I'd try to make myself a better man. And now I'm not that person at all, because I'm 60 now. Like I said, I'm just kind of comfortable in my skin. But what I learned from breakup books is something that I'm thinking about that a lot of you probably can relate to, which is it's the death of the dream as well. When John Lennon died, I went, well, the Beatles never get back together. It's impossible. Even when they did the documentary thing. It wasn't the same thing. John was dead. I mean, they worked on his songs that he had started or whatever, or was it, I forget, was it a McCartney song? I think it was Free as a Bird, John Lennon song. Anyway, it's the death of the dream. With Van Halen, we've done a few videos. Will Van Halen never get back together again? And there was always the hope that, Sammy and David Lee Roth would be on stage together and do this huge last tour. But that's not going to happen now. And as I mentioned in the tribute video that we posted a few hours ago, you can't do Van Halen anymore. You can do a big show saying thanks, we miss you, it's a tribute show, but you can never have a Van Halen tour again. That dream is over. So when a breakup in a relationship would end, the dream of the marriage, the kids, the house, the picket fence, or whatever the dream was, that was one of the layers of loss when you go through something, and that's what's happening now. It's of looking back, of going, oh, the dream, that's, Van Halen's finished now. When he was, can you get the dog, sweetie? Danica, can you let the dog in? No, you have to let the dog in, honey. Yeah. Thank you. The little dog comes in. Hologram tour, no, please, no hologram tours. Please, no, please, no hologram. I think ABBA's doing that. And I like ABBA. There you go. So, I digress. The death of the dream, there will not be Van Halen. That's finished now. We've got the music. We got to listen to it. It's a good day to listen to it. To listen to it maybe a little bit more clearly or focused or with different ears, because everything changes. Now we have this information that he's dead. So we're listening to the music maybe a little differently. And we're looking at that history a little differently. That's the way it goes. So yeah, I've been rambling for an hour and, I don't know, an hour and 50, I can't tell, an hour and 16. Anyway, thanks everybody. I've got to go. I've got to make supper. Please take care of yourself. April Wine, I love April Wine. I'm trying to get Miles Goodwin, but I've talked to him once, but I lost the interview. And I've talked to Brian Greenway and Jim Clench, who's dead now, and Jerry Mercer, who's retired from April Wine now, but still drums in his own thing. That's coming up on this channel and Rock History Canada. So lots of interviews. We can't even keep up with our interviews. We've got so many. We've got a good John Anderson interview series going on right now, and Rick Emmett of Triumph, and oh God, everybody. Just look on our channel. So anyway, thank you for everybody. Thank you for the folks who donated. Again, I didn't ask for it today. I usually don't, but we just bought an NAS system. We're trying to pay for it, so that's the way it goes. But thanks, everyone. Take good care of yourself. And the music's still there, I'm going to end it now. Anyway,